Heavenly Father, Mother God, creator of all that is real, and only a creator of love, we give thanks and acknowledge that being love, you can only create as love. This means that we are all the presence of love, peace, joy, oneness, prosperity, goodness, wholeness. Help us to forgive ourselves for making up a world that seems contrary to all that. Help us to forgive ourselves for this kind of manifestation and towards each other and seeing all such in others. Heavenly Father, Mother God, help us to see as you see and know what you know. Help us to be as you are, and how to be that presence in all things that we do, and forgiving all else. In this moment, we affirm the beautiful, perfect presence of God, the Father and Mother, in ourselves and each other. That's the greatest gift we can give, especially in a holiday season, the gift of remembrance. Help us to accept that in ourselves and to see that in one another, and we give thanks in advance that this is happening beginning now. And so it is.
Please join me in sharing our mission statement, which you will find on the white cards in the seat backs in front of you. And together we say, the global center for Christ consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And now for our sacred reading for today.
From A Course in Miracles. Forgiveness is a choice. We never see our brother as he is, for that is far beyond perception. What we see in him is merely what we wish to see, because it stands for what we want to be the truth. It is to this alone that we respond, despite how things look on the outside. We choose to see what we want to see, and then this is what we will see, and only this. Our brother's sinlessness and innocence shows us that we are ready to see our own. And then we will see it, having chosen to behold our brother in their holy light. In them we will find our true self, and then our memory of God as well. And so it is.
And so it is.
Somebody took your pen. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. If you'd be so kind to share, what would you like us to talk about today? And on that, remember, I'm not talking about something flippant kind of coming from your head, but really what's going on in your life most often, or heavy in your heart that you'd like to, or just you'd like to learn about in general. Anything? Abandonment? That's it?
Flipping the page. Flipping the page.
Turning the page. I'm just teasing you.
Next?
Releasing limiting beliefs.
Acceptance.
Separation.
Okay, one sec.
Demon possession.
Hold on. What was over there? Got that one. Someone else.
Connecting to silence.
Wrong perception. Demon possessions.
Okay, hold on. So somebody over there said one that I didn't get.
Separation.
Okay. Pardon?
Abundance.
Great. Okay, that's good. Thank you. We'll start with the word abundance because we have an abundance of requests. My goodness. It's like a dozen topics. That's funny. And just so you know, by the way, I had somebody once say, there's all these requests, and they thought, and maybe some people watching online or in here, think that what this means is then I'm now going to talk about each thing. It's not the way this works. It all starts getting covered in the everything. It's not like I just go, next topic, during a talk. That's a little linear, which has its place in the world. It's just, that's not how I would do this. So everything from turning a page, abandonment, releasing limited beliefs, and acceptance and separation, grief, silence, wrong perception, abundance, several things. That's naming most of them. Please understand, these requests, there's something that are dear to you. These are things that are dear to you. We are important to God. This isn't like, we're not talking about the religious way that people have been brought up. You're worthy, you're not worthy. None of that really matters. We're holy children of God. We were created as part of God. We can talk about everything else, including these, which we will address as much as I can. But, just imagine, whether it's limiting beliefs or darker energy, darker beings, war, politics. These are things. This is the stuff that illusions are made of. This is the stuff of this world. If you try to go into the world and deal with it, you're really unarmed, man, and you're going into a world that's been armed by the ego to fire away at you. So you can't beat this world. You can be detached from this world in a centered place. But how do you do that? People have tried for millions of years, believe it or not, and at the very least for tens of thousands of years, and it doesn't seem to be easy. Well, no, there's a few mystics that pulled it off. Yeah. If you want those kinds of odds, good luck. Do you believe that a teacher, like whatever you believe to be a good teacher, whether, I don't care, Gandhi or Buddha or Jesus, whomever you believe, do you believe that for the most part you can trust that they were being honest and telling you the truth of what they were saying? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, cool. If that's true, then when Buddha said, I'm not the expected Messiah, I'm just awake, then believe that. And then when Jesus says, I am him, believe it. Some of us are like, well, it's all this convenience thing. I kind of, I'll select what to believe. You may not agree with the style of the teaching, but they're not lying to you. I wouldn't believe that Buddha would overtly lie to me. And I can't believe that Jesus would lie to me. So this is important in the sense that, so if they're telling the truth, and Jesus says, I am the way, not just awake. I'm the way. I actually am the doorway that opens the walk back home all the way, not just human awakening. I have the keys to the universe. He's not lying. Then he does. And if he says, and I am the way, meaning he's not talking about himself. Jesus, a male and this background and that background, skin color. He's not talking about the person. The very least we need to understand about Jesus is he's not identifying as a body. When he says I am, he's talking about the Christ consciousness within him. That's why the scriptures tell us, put on the mind of Christ. Not put on the shoes. Wear his style of sandals. Get the same garment maker. He's not talking about stuff. He's talking about consciousness. I am the way. Are you the child of God? Are you? Yes, his answer would be, I am. I am. He just irritated people with those two words. I am. Because they're like, wait, let's be clear. Well, how could we be more clear than that? Are you the Son of God? I am. Then Christians are saying, see, he said he was. He didn't say you're not. He was answering their question to him. Are you? Yes, I am. And so are you. So we're the presence. I mean, there's a part in us that is the Christ that has never forgotten who we are. But there's another part that keeps winning the conversations. And when you say, well, I don't like that. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm sorry that you don't like that. Well, that seems unfair. Why doesn't the one that remembers, how does that not become the winner? We have to choose it. But our ego tantrums and our inner fears keeps allowing the other voice to win. The one that speaks the loudest and fastest is the ego. God is more associated with a peaceful voice. It doesn't have to fight to win. That's how you know politics are never part of God. Okay? Just saying. But there's a peace that surpasses understanding. Imagine that. Imagine being in such a state of peace where you have the likes of Herod or Pilate in your life, your ex-husband's wife, your parents, will never speak to you again. And just being in such a state like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear a question as to whether I care. In my family, my dad would be like, his big threat was, I'm going to erase you from our Bible. No, not that. I mean, he knew he could just look at me and think, he doesn't care. I mean, just caused him to be even more hateful towards me. But it's not like I'm fighting it, trying not to care. No, not that. It meant nothing to me. You're going to erase me from your family? I'm not even really associating as part of the family anyway. Well, you know what? If you're going to be into this, I'm going to divorce you. Oh, okay. I appreciate you giving me notice. Now I can start, making plans. But how many people have that center, that Christ-like center? And great masters, even before the time of Jesus, throughout history and since, have known that it's important to find your center. If you don't know who you are, everything is subject to affect you. If you don't know who you are, now if it's too hot, you're affected. Too cold, you're affected. Too much this, too much that, you're affected. Masters can just navigate, man. What's needed right now? Focus, let's go. And then those who claim to be spiritual are all like, oh my God, there's too much focus. Then you're not what you say you are. You're hypersensitive pretending to be spiritual. You guys already got that. But there's also the opposite. Too intense can be, you have to learn chameleon, like what's needed in this moment. If you see an accident, you can sit on the side of the road becoming part of the problem. I was driving by and there was this accident. The energies from this are really affecting me. Just get your car out of the way. There's emergency vehicles that need to get in here. Yeah, but I'm being affected. Get a tow truck, somebody. Get them off the road. You're going to feel like a victim, but you're in the way. Move. So mastery, spiritual mastery is not all passivity. But our goal is peace. Our ultimate goal is bliss, upper chakras, upper three. Heaven. This is heaven. This is bliss. We talked a little bit about these concepts the last week or two. But imagine your heart is where you get to feel the peace of God. So you're connecting with God when you feel peace. Doesn't that make sense? And peace is just an after effect of making right decisions, as is so many other, like joy. You don't just get joy. You don't act like a jerk and go in the car. And the effects of being a jerk are joy. It makes no sense. In reality, you get peace, you get joy by bringing peace and joy, by being and bringing. If you're not bringing that, don't expect to see it very often. And that's really sad because tyrannical psychopaths, those kinds of people that just really push and are harsh on people and heavy and judging, they're not going to feel the peace of God, which is going to cause them to feel even more upset inside, which is going to make them lash out even more. So they're on a vicious ego-based cycle. Please be careful if you're ever in a cycle or have been in a cycle with a psycho, a psycho cycle. If you're ever in that, there's a part of you that wants to fix it. There's a part of you that tries to fix it. We've done that. But maybe just one more, if only, and then my dad will love me. If only, then my husband, my wife, they'll see what a good person. That almost never in history ever has happened. So why gamble on that one? When you go to Vegas, you might go, I could win. It's not like the casinos are going, please don't let them win. We might go broke this month. There's not a lot of casinos that have ever gone out of business. So think about the odds when you go and try to fight them. You're not going to beat them. If ever they give you 10 grand, it's because they're using you as bait to other people. You don't actually beat Vegas. No offense if you live in Vegas. Okay? Hitting a nerve. What nerve? A Vegas nerve. Anyway. Hitting a nerve. So, this guy's so weird. So, be careful, man. Peace is your goal. Peace is your compass. And you use that and say, I think I'm making right decisions. I think I interpreted that dream properly because I'm feeling clarity from that. I think my diet's the right one because I just feel, even though diet and its effects aren't the ultimate sense of peace, what I'm saying is even mundane decisions can give you a sense of, am I kind of here in this center? Is there a sense of peace? I mean, we have decisions to make at times. Your car accident, you deal with it. You're not saying, well, I feel really peaceful about dealing with people's injuries. That's not the point. But when you walk away from that, do you feel like you did the best you could? And that should bring about a sense of, wow, I'm glad I was there. That could bring peace. You see, it's perspective. And so, but you don't get peace by buying a bumper sticker and putting it on your car. Peace. Praying for world peace. If you're like slamming other cars, with your car, like bumper cars. You get it by being peace and bringing peace. And it's an interesting thing to me because, we know that recently we had an election and never have I seen so much deception and falseness and strangeness going on. But what really blew my mind was the number of spiritual people, even going back to COVID, spiritual people started becoming hateful. One minute they're walking down the street, hey, peace, love, Bobby Sherman, like, hey man, I'm just a hippie of the 2000s. I still believe in flower power and peace. And then it's like, get on a mask and get injected and don't get injected. Everybody's like creating a war. What happened to the peace? We just tossed it. Now, I hope you didn't sense that from me. I hope that I stayed consistent. This is still me. And I'm going to tell you the truth about you didn't hear me say do or don't do injections or whatever they call those things. Okay? Do or don't do masks, right? You heard the truth. And I said the law says we're not even supposed to have gatherings. So we didn't officially have gatherings. I just said, listen, I'm going to be standing here on Sundays. I can't control whether you get in your car and drive, right? Remember that? And I just stood here and said, for the people online who are safely in their homes with their masks and whatever else, I'm going to talk. And, oh, look, people showed up. Hi, nice to see you. And then to respect the illusion, to respect the illusion, we're not going to fight it. To respect it, we said, okay, if you want to wear masks, sit on one side of the room and respect that, and over here, don't, right? Even honoring in the building the people that wanted either one. That's what you're going to get from me, because there's a way to do that. That's what the world should be doing. Even though we're in the world of separation, seemingly, we can still have this loving respect. So we kind of, created it that way. But there was still one person who showed up, and I think they were the non-mask people, and they would go purposefully and sit in the other side. And they were asked, please move, and they would get all upset, and they would move. For a few weeks they did this. And then they decided to come in and be like more extreme. And they started threatening, and our lead, chaplain, our usher, was seating them. And they went over there and said, from now on, It's offensive that you tell us where to sit. See, it's not loving to sit where would do the most good and respecting others. You pretend to like people, but you're actually going to try to irritate them. So they got real extreme, and then I heard about it, and our usher was like, I'm going to quit coming here and so on because this person's threatening me. So Michael, in his most loving kind of way, I came up here and I just said, this is where you're sitting, great. If you have a problem with that, you should leave. That's decent, right? No, it was fine. It was fine. And then I said, and if you have a problem with that, I'm going to come down there and pick you up and throw you out the door. Oh, that's so intense. I don't care. Because I'm not going to be hateful. What I'm saying is, if I have to, first comes people's safety. If I have to protect that, I'm going to protect that. And if that's a problem, leave. And if you're going to still not leave, I'll even do that much. This is my humor. I mean, I'm not literally planning, okay, how many pounds on each shoulder, I'm not like weighing this out like I'm looking forward. What I'm saying to you is it's okay to say no. You can stay in a sense of peace and say no to something. Human beings generally don't know how to do that, so they don't know that you know how to do it. They assume that when you're taking action, you've lost your peace, but you don't necessarily lose your peace. We're just getting something done. So I had to say no to these folks. And they got the message, apparently, because they never came back. You see? Remember that. Peace is not passivity. Or as Edgar Casey put it, being a Christian does not mean being a doormat. So it's okay to say no. Now, if these people came in and had a consultation with me and said, we don't know what to do, we're just struggling. We're in a state of terror and fear because all these masks and these stories, and nobody will be with us without wearing masks and all those defenses, and it's confusing us. I would not wear a mask and say, let me sit in the virus with you. You understand what I just said? I'll sit in the danger with them, but not encourage danger from them to others. If they're struggling and they're going, where's the love? We believe in God. Good. Then no mask. Let me sit in the room with you. And if we all die together, I'll do that with you. If that will convince you enough that someone loves you enough to die with you. That's extreme wording, but you get what I'm saying? So this wasn't anti-them. It's pro-sanity. Do what's right. And I would have stood with them, if they were in right consciousness, as much as anyone else, even though their beliefs were different. It's all right. Someone comes to me and says, I just don't understand. I can't believe in religion at all. I've just had such bad experiences with it. I don't wrong them and tell them they're going to hell. I listen. Oh, I get it. I get why. People don't know how to walk into hell with other people. Healers don't know how to go into you see, hell is your broken self. Hell is our wounds that aren't healed yet. Some of you asking about these concepts. I mean, whether it's wrong perception or whether it's feeling abandoned, all of those unhealed wounds, guys, that's what hell is. And if you don't know how to be with them in those feelings, then you're not entering hell with them. And I don't mean falling into hell. I'm talking about, can you keep one foot, one hand, one ear, one eye in heaven and reach the other into hell and pull people out? And some people cannot, and I don't blame you for it. You're not there yet. You're too susceptible, too vulnerable, too reactive. You don't know how to hold that backbone. See, if suddenly I was beamed into a place of war and people were in danger, I would fight for them to not be in danger. Can you navigate and go where you need to be at any given moment? I believe in peace totally. But if I see somebody beating someone up, I'm going to try to restrain them. Why? It's an illusion. Because people don't know it's an illusion yet. And if they knew it was an illusion, they wouldn't be doing it because it would be an illusion, so they wouldn't waste their time. So I know that they're not in their right mind when they act out like that. So how can I help? And we have to remember that. Talking about things like peace. It was asked about like turning the page into a new life, one of the biggest motivations, one of the most important necessities is you're not going to flip a page if you keep living in the old pages. Yeah, I'm going to turn a page in my life, keeping all the same patterns and beliefs. That doesn't even make sense. Why change the page? It'll just be, oh, look, a photocopy of the previous page. What's the point, right? So, no, I get it now. I'm waking up. My center, I know my center is the place called God and heaven and bliss and joy and all that God is. I know that's found here. And there's this presence of God that can descend. I'm blocking God out. The acronym, edging God out, ego, EGO. It's edging God out. So I know I'm doing that because I don't feel peace and joy and love in my heart. Now, open this. There are people that are soldiers that feel more peace than people that are spiritual leaders writing books about God, but yet going online and starting sites that say, if you vote for this people, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like going and these spiritual people judging. That they're not sane. There are people that are having by necessities, we'll call it, going to war and fighting. They're protecting their friends and their troops and whatever. They're more sane sometimes. It's a matter of who's in their center. It's not what region you live in. It's how centered are you? And I think it's funny and sad that spiritual leaders have shown their true colors. And I said this 20 years ago. I was saying, what's going to happen is the spiritual leaders of this world are going to show their true colors. They're not truly spiritual. And the ones that are their students, some of them are going to come up and prove that they're the spiritual teachers. The students. Why? Because if they're willing to maintain a humility and a knowledge about spiritual things, that's the way to go. But the fake, talking, professing peace and love and joy and oneness, and when in fact you're promoting everything but that. And it's really extreme the way things got. So we are the peace of God. So again, asking things, how do I learn acceptance? Don't. Learn the peace of God and then acceptance will be easy. Acceptance is a daily event. You change what you can, accept what you can't. But if you don't know the outcome is going to be peace, you'll not make that decision. If you say, I've heard that I need to change what I can and accept what I can't, but I just can't accept that this is the way it is. I can't accept that so-and-so did this and me not, learning to not hate them. I can't do that. They deserve my hate, my judgment, whatever. When we're insisting that the new page be the old page, it's just not going to work. So some part of us has to say, look, I'm clear that I've got an inner control freak that does not want to completely let go. I can talk inner peace and love, peace, joy, but I go partway there and then I just crash and go back to my old self. You want a new life, you have to become a new person. And you can't bring the old person along. And whatever proportion you do, I'm going to bring 10%. That'll be 10% that you're not the new life. And I think that's not bad. 10%? I'm going to bring 20% along. Done. Go for it. 30%. At what point do you draw the line? And if you don't know who you are, you won't know your ultimate ability to draw that line. There's an interesting thing that people talk about this politics, and I mean the deception and craziness that went on in that, and COVID the last several years, all this whole thing. But I haven't heard people talk about much about the bigger story, the bigger archetype behind this. How this was also a fight between the left brain and right brain. How one group symbolized more the left brain and one the right brain. And what the right brain tends to do, no offense, the right brain in us, left brain is more assertive, right? More linear, focused, and assertive. And if you want your checkbook done, you want that guy. You don't want your right brain doing your checkbook, imagining numbers. That's not actually healthy. You want the left brain that focuses and gets things done. Sadly, the right brain in us says, you know what? I've been shut down for so long. I mean, am I not allowed to hurt that people don't listen to me? And left brain goes, well, if you'd become more like a left brain, we'd listen to you. That's not nice. The right brain, although the left brain's a little aggressive, the right brain's what? Passive aggressive. If we can't beat you at this game, we're going to try to do it through deception and undermining. All you're seeing is these two out of balance extremes. What's really sad is the right brain every so often just tries to beat the left brain in a left brain world. It really, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Even in mythology, in Norse mythology, it's not a battle of masculine and feminine. That's just more of the duality that people create to try to right and wrong. In Norse mythology, male and female gods and goddesses were sometimes this and were sometimes that. There are Norse gods and goddesses that were more the right brain, and they were more magical. And then there was a left brain that was more forceful and more masculine, and that wasn't men, it was men and women of that nature. You follow? But almost never did this one beat this one. Almost never did the magical. How could they not if they're magical? It's a very strange thing historically. What's funny to me is the left brain masculine gods and goddesses were always afraid of this one. They were always afraid of him. And they were not afraid of it. I mean, even Zeus in Greek mythology. The gods and goddesses, ironically, the most powerful god in the universe was still afraid of this goddess one. It's kind of ironic. Well, you're the big bad. Yeah, but I don't know what she's up to. Because she's magical. She's stealthy. So we created a world where we're programmed to be suspicious about the feminine. And I'm not telling you right and wrong. I'm not telling you pros and men are better. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying both have a place. And even in the world of the gods and goddesses, and remember, I say mythology is a right brain version of history. Is that allowed? No. Left brain controls the left brain world. Left brain will even tell you the right brain is ludicrous. Mythology, that's just silly imagination. But it's history, spoken more holistically, more spiritually, more broadly, more completely, that right brain mythology history. Left brain just looks at details and it keeps changing them. This is the way this happened. No, wait, no, this is the way it happened. 20 years later, the next history book, no, wait, this is actually, and we're supposed to go, okay, okay, just keep telling us and we'll go along with it. Well, wait, if they were wrong at the last one, how do you know they're not wrong at this one? And yet you're not allowed to question it because the left brain world is controlled by the left brain consciousness. And it's that linear and aggressive. So it keeps slamming the other. So it's very intriguing if you think about it. If you stop talking about and don't buy into the passive aggressive deceptive right brain nor the aggressive linear left brain. Stay in your center. See through them both. And when you hear this one say blah blah blah, yeah, that figures. And when this one goes blah blah blah, yeah, that figures. It's amazing. You can just learn to see through it. So all of a sudden you're in the world, but not of the world. Where are you if not of the world? Right here. And you see more clearly. Jesus is telling you, hold your center. Be as gentle as doves, but as wise as serpents. He's saying, be able to embrace that right and left brain. And not just brain, I mean consciousness. You're creative and yet you're linear. Be able to pull these to yourself and, got it. And I'll always, and I'm saying I meaning us, and I'll always follow what's right to do. No, that actually doesn't make sense. I can tell that you're making up stories. Not into that at all. They'll stop if people stop believing them. And this one over here, so insecure, aren't you? Oh, you poor thing. And you get louder and you get more of this and you try to take over more. They're using military force and they're using magic. And by magic, I don't just mean potions, but it's true. This group over here that can't beat them at their own game, I mean, I saw this in my own household. As I'm saying this, it popped into my mind. I mean, my dad was, just too hateful, man. My mom never stood a chance. So she just had to shut down. To survive or exist, she had to just shut down. But that's not victimizer like it sounds. They're both playing into this. She could have left. So she's playing a part in that too. And she had her day here and there. I told you guys the story way back, some other time, but she learned how to cause her gum to snap all the time. Cracking your gum, I think they call it, and he hated that. So she would just walk through the house. What are you going to do? How intense is he going to get over cracking gum, right? So she'd just walk through, and he'd say, "Shut up, stop cracking." And if you listened carefully, you could hear. She on some level, she's just and just reeling, big bad wolf, and she's just. So who's winning? It looks like he is, but yet she had her own thing. And it's like the world. Don't worry about this one looks like they're winning. It doesn't matter. Stay in your center, because what I want to win is this. It's the only thing that matters. Do you want this one to win? As soon as there's a this and a that, you have duality. And if you have duality, you have no peace. So if you get upset about the election or COVID or whatever else, the world has got you again. There's an evil, ego-based world. And it cannot allow you to be in your center. Because in your center, it doesn't exist. So every time you get hooked by the news or whatever it happens to be, it is not an accident. This world needs you to not find your center. If you find your center and stay there long enough, you beam up because you're in an elevator that takes you home to God. Away from the horizontal world and into this one, the vertical world. I call it going vertical. So think about this. A Course in Miracles says, because there's two ways to feel peace. One is deep meditation. And when I say peace, do not confuse this with Quaaludes. Do not confuse this with ayahuasca. Or anything else of this world. I'm not dissing any of these. I'm saying don't confuse tranquility with something you took. Now you might say, no, some of these things, if they're organic, then they're good, they're real. If it's of this world or universe, it isn't pure spirit. It might have some nice effects. And just to clarify that, because some people get funky about it and they send me hateful ayahuasca letters, So don't send me, any, whatever, ayahuasca hate mail. So ayahuasca is like having a counselor. It is a way to take you into yourself the way a counselor can do, meditation can do. It has its place. All I'm saying is that if there's ever a time you seek inner peace and you don't have something to bring you there, then that thing wasn't totally real. Does that make sense? You should, access your inner ayahuasca. Access your inner, even if you pray to an idol and it helps you feel better. Can you do that when you don't have that idol in front of you? It all has to become internalized. It all has to become I am, not I pray to or I use. I am. Right? So, and that's really important so there's not, I like it, I don't like it. No, it's just duality again. You like this drug, you'd like this thing. If you're really believing in those things, try a lobotomy. That could be very peaceful when it's over with. You'll feel very little stress after you have a lobotomy. No offense, and I know it grosses some people out, but listen, be careful. And why would you hate me for saying any of this? And some people do. By saying the stuff you don't need, it's here. But is the stuff okay? Yes, because some days you need a chiropractor and some days a massage and sometimes this and sometimes ayahuasca. Whatever you feel helps you in the world of duality, I think it's fine. That's your trip. I'm just saying, and there's another way. So We can find inner peace. True inner peace has to be inner peace, not external stuff. It doesn't mean you don't do the outside, but you find this one. So true inner peace, there's only two ways to it. One is deep meditation, deep, entering the peace of God. And then you just absorb some, and when your meditation's over, you're affected by it. Everybody's had that to some degree, even if they don't realize they did. Where you entered something else. Let's say it was a room that there was just a positive vibe, and you kind of soak some of that in. You know that you can walk into a room that's chaotic and aggressive, and you can be seemingly affected. We won't always be affected. There's a point where I'm trying to be peaceful. And again, when I say peaceful, I don't want to confuse that with people who say, Michael, I am so loving and peaceful, but still everybody does this to me and that to me. Be careful, because sometimes what you're trying to do is the broken you that never felt real peace is trying to impose it on a world that won't accept it, and it looks like they're hurting your peace state. Does that make sense? That means you're bringing the wounded person that wishes they could feel peace, thinking it is peaceful of you to go into chaos and say, well, I was just trying to be loving. You called your ex who always yells and cusses you out, and I was just trying to be loving. I don't know why he's like that. Wait, you're trying to bring a broken person that looks like they're searching for peace or thinking they're bringing peace into a non-peaceful situation, and it didn't happen, and now you're blaming them. I totally get your good heart and your good intentions, but that's not how peace comes about. And you have to recognize, I can see where I keep trying to bring peace, and I'm not fully at peace. Just try that out and own that. Even if you have ups and downs with peace, the moments when you're not at peace, don't try to bring the not at peace into a situation and wonder why it didn't turn peaceful. You've got to find that center. And you'll know, because you start to feel kind of, like it's a weird feeling, like you feel invincible. Not vulnerable, okay, I'm going in, man, this tense world, No. You'll know when you're plugged in. And if you think you are and you step in and it goes badly, step out and take care of yourself. But don't do it by hating those people. People that seem to take your peace away, listen, it's not an object. It's not a cup of water. You are peace. People can't actually take you away. Do you get that? You are peace. They can't take your peace. What they can do is trigger you enough to make you lose sight of your peace. But if I say you lose sight of it, I didn't mean that you lost peace, did I? You only lost sight of it. You lost your ability to see it, but that's because of your triggers. All right? They pushed buttons, and then you lost that sense of peace. So there's two ways to attain peace. One, deep meditation. The only other way is forgiveness. A Course in Miracles has a term called the Ark of Peace. Remember the Ark, Noah's Ark? And you had two of each animal, that story? Well, A Course in Miracles uses a metaphor. It's not the ark with animals, it's the Ark of Peace. The ark that takes you home. The ship that 2 by 2, it says. The Ark of Peace must be entered 2 by 2. Meaning you can't go to heaven alone. Because the very idea of being alone is not heavenly. Heaven believes in all one. Same word. A-L instead of A-L-L-O-N-E. It's alone. And just break the word in the right location. Alone is the same as all one. It's a different perspective. Are you alone or are you all one? You can't go to heaven alone. And some people think that that's possible. Man, I can't wait to ascend and be done with you people. That makes no sense. They are me. They are. They are me. And it's like they're mirroring different parts. And when we think I'm a good Christian, so I'm going to be raptured away from the evil people that are all going to end up going to hell, it's already excluding myself. That very book is telling you, as you judge, you will be judged. So how do I get away with going, I'm going to be raptured, you're all going to hell, and think that works? The very book's telling me that doesn't work. So the ark of peace is entered 2 by 2. Don't expect to feel peace, which is the ark is taking you to peace. The ark is your choices and decisions, and it takes you to a place of peace, metaphorically. So the ark of peace is entered 2 by 2. Do you want to feel peace? Deep, tranquil meditation, which is not two, that's God and I. It's not one person, it's God and I as one. So I can feel peace by joining with God or with others who are God, ultimately. Make sense? The ark of peace. It's not about I'm better than. It's no exclusion. It's the more I can think inclusively. Think that someone's unworthy of entering heaven. And I know there are some horrifically behaving people. And there's people that have hurt you, and people, and if you saw those hurts, I know in a minute you would wish that person to be damned. What I'm saying, it's okay for us to say, that's disgusting behavior. It's another to say, and I wish that person to be condemned forever. By doing it, a part of you is condemned. What part? The vicious, evil part. Not actually. That part is their behavior. Their behavior is not the real them. It's a cry for love. So condemn others and you can't have the love you're crying for. Well, I'm not crying for it there. There's only one of us here. You see? So releasing limited beliefs, as one of you asked, it's all part of this. I can work on releasing limited beliefs, but I'm saying to you, if you don't know the goal, why would you choose to do that? Why would you choose to go on a strict workout regimen if there's no goal to it? If you can say, I want to lose 5 pounds and I would like to feel better, I'll feel better. Suddenly my sugar level's better and my heart rate's better. Oh, there's a goal. There's a goal. It pays off. It's good. It's healthy. You can see it makes sense. You lose 5 pounds, you're like, I feel so good. Because you knew where you were going and it paid off. It's the same with spirituality. If you want to turn the page, or you want to release limiting beliefs, if you don't know why, and I mean, you logically might say, but I do know why. I'm saying to you, you have to really know why. To forgive people and you go, fine. That doesn't mean you really understand it. It's okay to start there. It really is. Fine. I forgive you, jerk face. It's okay because that's the hurt still leaking through. Do I hate that person? Not at all. I can sit with you and go, okay. They can sit with me in a session and they can say it that way. I have absolutely no problem with it. Why? Because I know this is the beginning of their healing. They have to start with, fine, I'll forgive you. But I know that that's going to become, and I really, really need to do this. And then it's going to morph into, I feel better that I'm making this decision. And there's going to be moments, yeah, but that doesn't mean I think what you did was okay. I know, honey. There. Bark a little. And then let's go to the next step and the next step. And one day it goes from, I would never forgive them, to fine if I have to I really should. And it goes and goes, another step. And then there's a point where, oh my God, this is hilarious. I thought they did, but they were actually mirroring the such and such for me. I get it. Goodbye, you're retired. Love you, mwah. Won't need you to do this anymore. I got it. And you go into your awakening. You don't need the thing to give you peace, the drug, the drink, whatever. You don't need even forgiveness. It's an illusion. When we realize even forgiveness means I still hold something against you that I'm going to decide to let you off the hook with. That's just steps. There's a moment, and you can't jump from 0 to 100. You go through the steps organically. There's a point where, the angst to it. And then there's a point where it's like, this is just so weird. I never imagined that thinking of that person, I could still hold my center while thinking about them. You see what I'm doing there? That's what's going to happen. When there's reaction, it's pulling you way out here. There is a point, and I know some very horrific things have been done on this planet, and to individuals, obviously. Even people that are as disgusting as they are with animals and the things they do to animals, none of it makes sense from a spiritual standpoint. It's disgusting. Hating them will not fix it. Just letting them do it. Hating them is the aggressive left brain. Forgiving them, just pretending it's not happening, is excessive right brain. And I've said that's not going to work. Well, which one do I do? It's one or the other. No, it isn't. The solution to duality that is a pole that moves one from the other, as soon as there's a split in sacred geometry, for example, as soon as there's a split where one becomes two, energetically, two means, by nature, the two start going apart. And that's judgment, duality, left brain, right brain, Democrat, Republican, whatever it is. It splits, masculine, feminine, men, women. It splits, and they're up creek. And these human beings, these two dots that are separating on a line, are taking workshops on how to get along and not get divorced. It makes no sense. How are you going to not get divorced when every day you are going further apart? How many relationships say, I just think we're grown apart. Of course you did. As soon as you thought there were two of you, you're going to grow apart. What is the solution to duality? A threesome. It's true. In geometry, in sacred geometry, the solution to the problem of two is to introduce a third point. What do you think these are going to do? And now you have the Trinity of God, even in a world of duality. How did we do that? Oh, threesome, not in the sense that you're thinking. It isn't, honey, maybe we should, I'm going to fight this. Oh, thank God. I'm going to fight this, but there is a gal at work. I think I can talk her into it, and you're pretending, this is, if it's for you, honey, I will. And you introduce a third person, and it's very fun and playful for a day and a half, and then you realize the problems that we went into a threesome with are still here because it's not a real threesome. The third party has to be God. Amen. It can't be, we're having problems, but we decided to have a baby. What baby in their right mind says, oh, look, two conflicting parents. That looks like a pleasant experience. Look, Christmas, hell on earth. Isn't my perspective of relationships warm? But it's true. It's accurate. It's duality until you introduce this, which, could be, for some people, it's a threesome. Or it becomes a common, like an addiction that we both start playing with. Or we start having babies to help us grow closer. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be the only real thing is the third piece. And you know what? One reason why? Because it's you, the real you. You went from the non-real you and the non-real them to the real you. So this is going from dualistic love to love divine, to real love. And some people interpret it as being, we need to start going to church together. Hey, you know what? That's an outer thing, but you know what? It's healthier than some other choices we made to try to grow closer, because it's a little bit of God in there. But ultimately, if you don't realize every decision you make has to be made based on, does this take me closer to that third point? Well, I'll do this because my wife will never know about it. Does it take you closer to that third point? Yeah, but she'll never know. Does it take you there? Is peace the likely outcome by cheating? Is peace the likely outcome? Now your children come in because you have babies to grow closer because you're two messed up people. Probably not going to last anyway. And if you last, you might do it by not talking about your, triggers and issues. So in denial, what kid would want to come into that? One that has lessons related to that kind of world. Now the couple's going, man, we have problems with this kid. Of course you do. He came in going, I have just the right things that'll help that couple realize that they were not making the right decision. You can't run from the stuff. So the third party, the presence of God. Honey, we're like this. I'm going here. Would you like to join me in that walk? They might say, too much water under the bridge. You go there, I'm jumping. And they have the right to, and don't judge them because remember, they're tired in their own way, right? They've reached their impasse. They're not right or wrong. That's just where they're at. And congratulations, if you're the one who goes there, it doesn't make you better. It just makes you more timely because you're choosing it now. God bless. Good job. Some people that say, I'm going to make the better choice towards a healthy life. And that's a good word to use, by the way. You don't always tell people, I decided I found Jesus, and they expect them to walk with you into Christ consciousness. Sometimes they're like, that's perfectly what I don't want to hear. I was burned at the stake last time I heard that name. I don't want to hear. And you're going to wrong them. No. You use the word healthiness. It's really cool. Family members, mom, dad, I'm going towards healthiness. What does that mean? Sanity, love, peace. Don't even bring the word God in, and you're still making a statement. You know how we argue a lot as a family? That would be down here, and I'm going here. So if I have to move out and live in my car to have quiet, I'm going to do so because peace is my first priority. I'm not going to engage in these conversations. I'm going towards peace. Well, but how dare you? And it's up to you. Did you really want peace or are you just saying it? Don't tell people that you're committed to healthiness if you're going to betray yourself and not stay the course. You're going to be worse off if you talk the talk and not walk it. So please, before you start sending out emails to family members, please remember, are you really committed? And don't just say it, feel it. Are you really committed? Do you know why you're doing this? Just like the gym workout I used as an example. Do you know why you're doing it? Yes. It's not even just a past life compulsion where I was once a nun or a priest and it's that. This is heart, mind, body, soul. I know. I am committed to healthiness now. Now, healthiness doesn't mean I'm going to start being a vegan and judge meat eaters. I'm talking about healthiness for me. If people ever ask an opinion, how are you looking and feeling so good? And they ask, give them I chose healthiness and here's some examples. Don't preach it to them. You turn them off to it. Even the Bible tells us, those of you who turn people off to God are going to suffer a lot of karma for that. Think about that. The Christians that scare people away from Jesus, there's some bad karma that goes with that. You're in a very precarious place. So how can I be the presence of peace? Be and become the presence of peace by bringing peace, okay? Bring it as best you can. And then it becomes a vibration and a frequency, your airspace. And people can just tell, hey, and people, they'll look at me and they'll say, I know you don't really weigh in on politics. And, they kind of know. If you're coming here, you're not going to get that from me. We want you to hate this person. Yeah, but I won't. Well, do it or else we'll never talk to you again. Adios. Go with God. I'm good with that. Are you okay with that? In every way in your life. Be careful when you make this statement because the world is going to go, oh, really? Honestly, the ego is going to say, look, somebody's trying to stand up for their center and is making an announcement that they'll settle for nothing less. That is going to go after you. The ego, your own ego, is going to go after you. The good news is you can use its attacks as tests to see if you're really there. So thank you for all the various feedback, and I hope I covered as much of it as possible. Everything from abandonment to, just all these other topics. You need your center. That's the only thing, is to return. Right now, I seem to be on earth. Peace is a compass that I can use to know how I'm doing while I'm here. There will be a day when I'm in total bliss and I don't even need the compass. And how do I find this peace while here more often? Deep meditation. And when I say meditation, I'm not talking about technique. I'm talking about surrender. One of you asked about that too. Just a deep sense of surrender into, I know nothing. I'm inviting in the presence of everything, God. I'm giving up the nothing for the everything. Help me to feel as you feel. Just shine that light upon me. And if God shines light, and what the effects of meditation, what it's like is, all of a sudden the light of God shines and you notice you're a little warmer. A minute ago you were chilled, you're warmer, because that's the effects of light shining on you, right? Like sunlight on a cold day, you might feel that effect. It's like that. So peace shines on you. Bliss shines on you and it becomes peace. Bliss shines upon you if you let it, and it becomes joy. So one way, it's coming or going. One way to experience higher feelings is by inviting them in. The other is by acting them out. Act like peace and love in this world, and the world will then have to mirror it back to you. Not always as people saying, I want to thank you for not reacting to me when I was trying to force you into wearing a mask and shaming, and when people apologize for any of that, if they ever do, most of them get pretty entrenched. Forgive them. They know not what they do. All right? Just say, I'm going for healthiness. That's it. What a great mantra. And it's one that average people can understand. Mantra, that mantra, peace is my goal. Peace is too new agey for them. Okay, then healthiness. I'll use healthiness. And some people will say, and I guarantee it, some people will say, who are you to tell us what healthiness is? And you say this, I didn't say I'm going to tell you what healthiness is. I'm saying that's where I'm going. Now, if you want to join me, we can walk towards healthiness and let them decide. Unfortunately, a lot of times you'll hear, no, thank you. And then if you give in and stay in it because you don't want to lose them, you shouldn't have said it in the first place. Because now you're adding this guilt and shame on yourself that you said it and didn't do it. Energetically, there's this thing. Don't say it unless you mean it. Is that making sense? All right. Please take a few centering breaths. Just quieting the mind for a moment. A couple breaths only of inhaling, I am, quietly in your mind, exhaling, relaxed. Just a couple more times. And you're affirming that you are relaxed. You're not in your head. You're not still thinking about what we talked about. Let me just chill for a moment and enter a state of relaxation. Take a moment and just have an honest retrospection or reflection on duality. Did you get polarized in the election? Did you get polarized during COVID? Did you get polarized in anything else over the last few years? Or this week? Whatever comes to mind, just be honest with yourself. Don't justify it. Yeah, but no. Did you get polarized? One way to know is, did you go and believe something was right and something else was wrong? See it, be honest about it. Deny it, minimize it, and all you're doing is magnifying it in yourself. Now understand, even if I don't say this, it's still true that part of you knows you did it. Part of you knows you went a little extreme, a little bit dualistic. Part of you knows that. And that part of you is going to feel guilty and ashamed because it's not the spiritual you. That's not your center. No, in my center, I believe that guy, this girl is wrong and I hate him. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. Own it. What if there's a third option in the middle that's peace? Then you'll know those other extremes, they weren't really healthy. There's consciously or unconsciously, there's guilt and shame that go with that. Oops, I went out there. A wonderful mantra for seeing yourself out there. Oop, I went this way, I went that way. Yeah, too much. I own it. A single beautiful word mantra. Oops. Everybody together, nice and long, chant. Oops. And just hang for a second. That's all you need to do. The word means my bad. It was a mistake. Little extreme. Keep it casual. Don't judge yourself. Oops. Now, what if that statement allowed you to let go of all the original opinions that pulled you to one direction and the karmic effects emotionally? What if that oops means I own it and now you're floating into this center? Peace. Herein lies the peace of God. My opinions, defenses of my opinions, my offenses on others for their opinions, I just don't have an interest in it. See, don't fight it, don't minimize it, don't deny it. Just, it's not of interest. What I'm really looking for, and everybody is looking for, is the presence of God. Every religion, every quest for relationship, every hunger, thirst you've ever had, underneath it is actually the quest for the presence of God. And here I'm saying to myself and the child within me, I'm so sorry that I let you starve for so many years, trying to give you things when all you really wanted was God. So when I feel the craving for things, anything of this world, I'm going to do my best to remember more and more and more that what I'm really looking for is God. Every time you wanted a relationship, every time you wanted to win something, it was always God you were looking for. Externally, we still live our lives, but what I'm really looking for is God. So I'm sorry to myself for ever settling and forever deluding myself. How is that going to lead anywhere good? It led me to a life of emptiness and hurt feelings. To all people I've ever dragged into that drama, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. Father, Mother, God, I'm very clear that all I've ever wanted is to return to my oneness with you. That's all I ever really wanted. And I know that I don't enter that place alone. So to all my brothers and sisters, we're okay. I retire everyone from the role that I've put them in consciously or unconsciously, and I release everyone from that role. Let's be at peace in God. You need do nothing for me. I am already okay. I don't need anything from anyone. I don't need the raise from my boss at work. I don't need romance from my partner. I know it's nice to have. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't need anything. If I can enter peace that needs nothing, then I can have everything. Because it just comes to me. Because I don't put any tension on the request. No expectations. Closing. Peace. What if right now I'm in my center? What if my arms are like wings? What if the presence of God is like a golden light that runs right through the center of my being and has an aura that emanates not just a foot from the body, but to an unlimited distance? What if my walking down the street is bringing the presence of God? So even when I pass by someone, I don't have to give them money if they're homeless, and don't have to not give them. I don't have to help that person or not help them. My presence is enough. The grace of God goes with me wherever I go, and it blesses and touches people. I don't have to have physical affection. I am perfect affection, loving intention. But I can still choose to share that with another person. But I'm just choosing not to do it out of a neediness. How beautiful. We're all free to experience the presence of God. And the last moments of breath, knowing this, really knowing and believing that this is true. And closing with a state of gratitude. Give thanks for everybody that popped into your mind, if anybody did. Give thanks for owning these lessons and thoughts. And give thanks that you've now anchored something new into your being. And let that thing, that peace, let it turn the page for you. And then gradually center back into the room. Just gradually back into the room. Thank you. See, there's a part of us that when we thought we separated from God, separation creates conflict and duality. It takes the into the the stuff of the world, dualistic stuff of the world. But this is that place of peace. And again, one of you asked about silence. It's not silence, it's presence. Just silence alone, no stimulus, noise reducing headphones doesn't mean you've gone to heaven. There's external silence. There's a discipline called internal silence that leads you to the presence of God. But silence, healthy silence, is a discipline that I'm just going to get out of the chaos, right? But it's also a good idea to get out of the chaos. To go in the chaos and keep trying to find silence there isn't going to work very well, because that world doesn't want you to find the silence that leads you back to God. So keep this in mind. The belief that you lack something, the aggressive group will go get it by taking it. The passive aggressive group will try to magically create it by either passive aggressive, hurtful means, or just by magical thinking, like literally imagining that they've got someone in their life that doesn't want to be in their life. That's like black magic. Instead, own yourself, and you have a healthy center that can attract other healthy selves. And that's kind of cool. When you're in that empty space trying to make something happen, that's my job. I should be getting that job. They shouldn't have gotten the raise. They got promoted, I didn't. See? Just like I want them to love me. Why would you want someone that doesn't reciprocate be in a relationship with you? That's kind of weird. It's like buying a photo of somebody and put it on the wall and go, this is our 1-year anniversary photo. It makes no sense. What? I mean, you have such low self-worth that you wouldn't want one with a heartbeat? I mean, can you just try to get somebody with a pulse? And that wants to share that with you? I mean, oh man. Yeah, whatever. We're going to do our closing prayer. First, our collection and love offerings. Please be as generous as you can be. while you're preparing your love offerings, remember, focus your consciousness into the prayer. We don't just say, hey, give us your money. I would like you to think in terms of, I am abundant and I'm giving thanks for something I enjoyed today, and give good thanks for it. But also, receive good from us, receive good intentions, receive the best music, the best attendees. And we do what we can to create a safe space, which is why I shared that story earlier. Someone was trying to be hurtful, get out. You know, it's what we've got to do sometimes. What all of us have to do sometimes. So I appreciate that you all support the general idea. You support that we sometimes have to say no to things that aren't right for the consciousness we talk about. Okay? All right. Hold your love offering to your heart with full intention and consciousness. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. God bless you. Thank you for that. We'll do our prayer in just a minute or two. In the meantime, if you can put, it's the bags that you put the donations in. The wicker baskets are for any extra donations. You can do it now or later this week if you like, or next week. We appreciate any extra donations to go towards our, what we do as a project every Christmas, where we go and take care of people with lesser means. So we share. So if you can go to that fund, or you can send it in during the week, you can wire it in, mail it in. What other things do they do? Online you can do it. So there's a million different ways you can send in donations, and we'll put it in that fund, and then we take care of people of lesser means. It's quite miraculous what we do with this. It's beautiful to see. So share what you can there. We are looking for someone to paint a mural out on a wall outside. Now, send in a portfolio, some examples. We're looking for somebody to paint a certain mural outside on the front wall of the building over here. Don't take it personal if you're not selected. There's specific things and styles that we're looking for. But if you're available to do something like this, let us know. As far as other announcements, let's see. Those of you watching online, just like it and so on. I say like, I prefer you don't share it with people that wouldn't like it. So like what you're watching, but when you share, make sure you tune in. See, it's a funny thing. I'm a very odd person in so many ways. But how do we have a successful center? What we do online is all private. We're not a public event or public page. How do we have so many thousands of likes and so on? How is that happening? It's like A Course in Miracles was never advertised, but yet it's on every continent, sold over 1 million copies and so on, but it was never advertised. Light carries itself. So I would rather you share this with that the person is right for it. I don't tell people, just tell everybody about us. Hey, listen, it's not right for you to go tell everybody about us if it's going to trigger hurt in them. If it's going to make them hate you because they're a different religion and they think you're off your rocker. You've already many of you have been already persecuted for your beliefs. I don't want to be part of that again. All right? I'm not saying don't tell people. I'm just saying use discretion. Even my books. I'm telling a friend to read your book. My reaction is supposed to be like, oh my God, I'm so honored. I'm like, oh God. I want you to use discretion. Ask for guidance. Ask the Divine Mother to guide you. Who to hand the book to. You see? Really, we should all be working from that place. And then we'll be taken care of. We have plenty of attendees somehow without even being, out publicly advertising that way. All right. There's a table back there, and there's several things. I forgot to announce it last week, and they're like some free, some half price, etc. Please check that out while you can. Some of them are books, and they're not bad books. They're books that we had too many of, and we're running out of room in the bookstore. So just please check out that table before you leave. And this Wednesday, every other Wednesday, we have a spiritual healing and mentoring group. That's where we have a circle. It's kind of like a support group, but it's hands-on. Sometimes we're doing body work, learning, and you can just observe in the room or online, or you can participate. but it's a great way to go and ask questions. How do I deal with grief? Or I'm struggling with this or that. And we basically, use the questions that are coming up to go in and do some actual healing work with the person. So you can, if you're a healer, you'll gain from it that way. But even if you're just a lay person, not professional healer, you'll still gain by watching, by experiencing, and you might, go through the healing yourself. That's this Wednesday, every other Wednesday. And it's 4 PM, Arizona time. This afternoon from 1 to 4, we're having again our Sedona Psychic Fair. So that's kind of cool. We appreciate you. If I were in the middle of big questions in my life, I swear, I'd get in there and get some objective opinions. And I wouldn't do one. I would personally do a couple. They're generally booked up, so I'm not just trying to book them up. They're generally booked up. I'm so grateful for the readers that feel drawn to come here and do the work here. I'm so grateful that they are as accurate and good-hearted as they are. We're we use a lot of discretion, just like I said about telling people about us. We use a lot of discretion. And in that sense, there's people that want to do workshops, and we'll make money by renting them space, but that's not how we work. We want to know that it resonates. Just like I'm telling you, don't move people into your house that don't resonate. I know that no, my guides told me. I'm telling you, please check it out. Make sure there's a resonance. Not for a day and a half, but that there's truly a resonance. So there are people that want to do workshops and, oh man, no matter how much money, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't resonate, listen, we really honor you. We appreciate you, but we don't really do human sacrifice here in our center. And then they go and rent somewhere else in town. And some of you will go see them, but not here. Because the more you stick to your integrity, your center, the more you build light. That's how vortexes are created, not the organic geological ones. I'm talking about how you become a light unto yourself by sticking to them. Water and feed that plant of life that you are. The last couple things, let's see. I think we got all those. If the board members know I'm missing something, let me know. All right, we'll leave it at that. What did you learn or hear today that made the most sense? Anybody want to share? Yes?
Well, during the meditation, it really hit me that when you're in your center, miracles can happen.
Yes.
Doors can open, doors can close. And
Yes.
This week I remained in my center, in my truth, and a friendship ended, but I was in total peace with it.
Yeah.
And wished her nothing but love.
Right.
Anyway, so it really resonated for me today.
Right. Beautiful. When you're in your center, how did you finish the sentence?
Miracles can happen.
Doors can open.
Or doors can close.
It's weird because the ego will say, no, you're being too this or that, and now you're losing valuable. If they're valuable, then they're unconditional. And, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All my life I had that feeling. Like we had a guy, 8th grade, a guy moved in across the street, and you could just tell, because I lived in Southern California, you could just tell it wasn't going to go well. What he was wearing clothing-wise and how he looked, it wasn't, this guy was going to be a target for, kids in school. And I'm like, oh God. I know that I'm already going to become, his friend, and we become friends. He ends up getting picked on in fights. And every time I would go, all right, here we go. And they would go, oh, hey, you're cool. Why you? He's not going to get dropped alone. And they generally would just walk away. It's nice to stand by what's right. And I don't mean like you're trying to be better than anyone. I just know what's right. And it's like, no, I'm going to stand by him, So I did, and I'm glad I did. It's the right thing to do. Anyone else?
It's not silence, it's presence.
It's not an external silence, it's a presence. Wow, it's just like I'm choosing the presence of God. I mean, it's like this. Is it a vibration? Yes, but it's more than that. Is it a frequency? Yes, but it's more than that. That's why it's called a peace that surpasses understanding. Your logical mind government can't take you there. Drugs can't take you there. Science will not take you there. Even religion will not take you there. Because if a religion existed and introduced you to peace, you wouldn't need the religion. You could still go attend, in my opinion. You could still go. They think you won't need them. They wouldn't think that because that's the lack mentality. What they could think is, if we introduce you to peace and a personal relationship with God, you're going to be so grateful you'll still come here and experience it, share it. They're thinking this or that dualistically. If we acknowledge, then we're going to lose you. And you don't. I love you and respect you and thank you for introducing me to spirit like this. So it's not mutually exclusive. Learn to meditate and still do this. Learn to pray and still do that. Yes, dear.
In the meditation, you mentioned the COVID and I feel like in my reality it took me back and I wasn't so engaged, not interested, so I didn't really experience it. My experience all those years has been the financial struggle and relationships. It made me ask myself, but if that was not a thing in my life, when was that? And then it made me see that I was just not feeling worthy of receiving.
Wow.
And then it made me feel like this exhaustion in my body, and I felt like that's what I was fighting.
Wow.
Paradox so much.
Right.
fighting.
So you really went back. The whole COVID thing, certain things at the time weren't triggering you, but looking back, you can see what really was happening for you. And it was pretty big. Viscerally, it could make you feel exhausted right now from just reflecting on what that was about.
It made me feel like I'm ready to
Good.
release it and
Good.
peace. I'm like, I don't have to fight anymore.
And the key there, that's the word responsibility. See, you're owning. Not, look what they did to me. I did this and then I reacted with that and then I feel drained, and you're owning what happened. It's just the fact that you're even acknowledging it happened is good, but then owning your part is huge because it's not a blame. It's more like an experience. Congratulations. Yeah, 12 steps from COVID recovery, you know. Yes, dear. One more person.
I resonated with the idea. It just felt comforting to not be able to enter into hell, but not fall into hell.
The difference, it's right to enter hell, but not falling into hell. And I think you guys got that because we're just we tend to attract a very advanced people all around the world that watch and attend here. So, but if ever I say something like that and you don't get it, please ask here or afterwards or email. Ask if it didn't make sense. Because to some people, this teacher was promoting people going to hell, and now we're some demonic cult. It's not what I was saying. But to be able to navigate and reach your hand into people's hurt and say, I'm here. You don't jump in the quicksand with them. You don't jump in and try to enable it. You don't become a rescuer. And some of them will blame you. You don't care because you're not jumping in the quicksand. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but do you want to take my hand? Well, no, because you don't really care. Again, sorry you feel that way. Take my hand. You don't lose your center and jump in. But they'll try and they'll tempt you because misery loves company. Please stand for a closing prayer. Peace to you all. Thank you for being with us. We will have the usual Christmas Day. Our ongoing annual thing is to have Christmas Day, some munchies here, a movie, little story, time for everybody to share maybe some history, some background things, funny things that have happened, great Christmas memories, whatever. You're welcome to join us. Especially if you don't, we'll have it online too. If you don't have a place to hang for Christmas, because it's a very kind of symbolic holiday, it's nice for you. Even if you've never had great holiday, come and have your first one. That's a good thing to turn the page and have your first great Christmas day, if especially you don't have anybody to share it with. But if you do have family and you want to get away from them, you could still come here and use this as a great experience, okay? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. God bless. Peace be with you. Chaplains, we're having